Hello YouTube, it is Chris here, and in today's episode we're going to be discussing my 30-second emergency shelter survival kit and how it all fits inside. Welcome back everybody, and thank you for sticking with me. Yeah, you heard right. I teased this in my last episode. This is my 30-second emergency survival shelter kit. And all of this actually fits inside this awesome dry bag that has my shelter system built in. So the idea of a survival kit is something that you can grab and go and take with you and have a lot of supplies on hand in an emergency. And because of this shelter's packaging, it makes it perfect to do a variety of things that make it very multifaceted. And this particular shelter is called the Zelter Shelter. It is one of the most versatile emergency shelters I've ever used in my entire life. It is not only an emergency tent that can be set up in about 30 to 60 seconds, it can also turn into a two-person tarp, but also be a wearable shelter at the same time. So as you can see from that quick demo, just to set up the initial tent portion is extremely simple and very intuitive. Now, a lot of you guys might jump down in the comment section and go, oh, it's inflatable, wait till that thing pops, you're screwed. And what I love about the Zelter Shelter is the engineer and inventor actually thought of pretty much everything, in my opinion, for an emergency system. One, the inner tubes are made of a very thick, strong, and very durable inner tube lining, the same stuff you would see in emergency lifeboats and rafts. It is not a flimsical little balloon piece of crap, but even if it pops, the benefit to this is there are tie-up points on the sides, the top, everywhere you need to be able to still use this effectively as a one-person bivvy emergency tent without the need to have the inflated system in there. So the fact that you have a backup to your backup kit is super awesome. So jumping right into this kit, obviously we have our shelter, but we have the 10-liter dry bag, which is perfect. It's going to be able to hold all of my stuff. But on top of that, because it holds 10 liters, I can grab it, take it down to a river or a creek or a lake or any freshwater source and fill it up with a ton of water. So if I'm going to be setting up base camp for the night, I've got a ton of water to pull from immediately. So inside my kit, I've got this. This is my 12 Survivors emergency water filter straw. It is pretty awesome. I love the new concept for water filters because the old standard used to be 0.1 microns, but now it's 0.03 microns, and that's pretty awesome. It also comes with a collapsible water bottle that will convert inline, so I can actually fill this up from inside my dry bag so I don't have to keep walking back and forth. I can stick this down in my cargo pocket and have a very mobile drinking solution to keep clean water to keep me from getting sick, because hydration is key, but if you get sick, you're screwed. So in addition to your emergency shelter and hydration and water, the most important element in the survival situation, in my opinion, is fire. Fire is the building block to making pretty much everything happen.
Speaking of fire starters, the sponsor of today's episode is ProCamp Tech. They are the creators of some of the most powerful all-weather fire tinder for your next outdoor adventure, offering wax-based blends that are resistant to the elements, easy to use, and they work when you need them the most. Head on over to procamptech.com to find a retailer in your neck of the woods. That link will be down in the video description.
So my particular fire kit is very simple. We have a bunch of pre-cut strips of the fire strip roll from ProCamp Tech, formerly known as Production Hanger 51. I have my Victronic lighter in here, but then I have my fire steel from 4 Directions Bushcraft. This is the Extreme Weather Fire Starter 2.0. It has a waxwood stick built in, so I have tinder, we've got magnesium, and a fire steel. Now, one of the most important tools, in most people's opinion, and mine included, that you're actually gonna want is a knife. And this one is actually the APO 1 from Survival Lily. This has been thoroughly tested by myself and a ton of YouTubers, This is a beefy freaking blade. Don't let the fact that it's made overseas or designed by a YouTuber fool you. Now, if you're only going to be able to carry one knife that will fit inside this kit, this is an excellent choice. There's a lot of great options and a lot of competition in this space for that 6 inches and smaller blade. But if you're looking for something that will be able to chop, baton, feather stick, skin, do all the things, be good for self-defense, this is an excellent choice. There's basically no frills, no BS about this knife. And if you were on the fence about this knife, yes, I do recommend it. But if you want something that's a little bit cheaper on a budget, I'll have some great options down in the video description as well. Now, riding on the concept of my shelter is this new item from Go Outfitters, which is called the landing pad. This is pretty awesome. I actually thought it was pretty simple. I didn't see a lot of value in it when I first saw it, but I figured I'd go check it out. But if you're using it in conjunction with something like the Zelter Shelter, I found a lot of cool options with this. So not only can we have it as a landing pad, but we can use it as a ground cover to go underneath to create a little bit more insulation between ourselves and the ground while we're sleeping in our bivy tent or in a tarp situation, so you do have a dry place even in inclement weather. But the last and probably the coolest feature about this landing pad that I like the most, that if my Zelter Shelter fails, my dry bag rips and tears, this will give me another stuff sack that I can cinch everything up, grab it, and haul all my gear and keep moving if I have to. So I've got backups and redundancies in a very multi-use item. We're gonna need to eat if we're gonna be out there for longer than 2 or 3 days at a time. And yes, it's physically possible to go without sustenance, and having some snacks along with you is probably not a bad idea if that's a high priority for you. I wanted to make sure I had a really good cooking kit. So this is my solution, and don't let the covers fool you. So we do have the Bear Bowl. It's been thoroughly vetted and tested on my channel. We love this thing. It is a food grade, food safe, foldable cook pot. It is awesome for the camper, the hiker, the survivalist. But right in here, and for anybody who watched my 21 camp stove video, we covered this particular stove that we're gonna go over, and that's up in the right-hand corner, so you can check this out. So because we have the Fire Ant from Emberlit Stoves, we decided to slide it in this particular package because it gave us some cool varieties. So I've got the ability to have a wood burning stove at the ready that weighs 2.7 ounces, because weight in this scenario to me, because I wanna be very highly mobile with a kit like this, I'm not gonna get weighed down by this very lightweight titanium kit. But in conjunction with that, we're able to hold 6 of these hexamine solid fuel cubes. So if tinder is really wet, I'm kind of in a hurry, I'm really, really cold, I just need to pop on my lighter, light this thing up, and get some water boiled to kind of warm up my inside, stay inside the shelter and hunker down. These are really good options. This will buy you a good 2 to 3 days to get yourself situated. And hopefully by that time you've gotten yourself out of your situation, you've gotten back home. So segueing off of inclement weather, cold weather, rain, wet and rainy, we've got this bad boy. This is my Poncho. It's kind of my little bivy. And I know you're thinking, why would you need that if you had the Zelter Shelter? Work with me. I wanted to make sure that I had the lightest weight solution to give me extra insulation if I'm in very extreme cold climates. Now here I'm in South Texas, it doesn't get extremely cold. The coldest we ever really have to deal with is like 10 degrees down to 0. This would still work for places up like near Utah, Kansas, and all of this, because this is a poncho, but it will keep the water off of you, but it's got insulation pockets all over this thing. So I can use it as a comfort item to have a pad to sleep on inside my Zelter Shelter. But if I am freezing and I need to make sure that I can regulate my body temperature a little bit more effectively, I also have this bad boy right here where I can stuff in grass, leaves, if you're in an urban environment, newspapers, and really stuff yourself down. You kind of look like the Michelin Man, but you'll be really, really warm because you're gonna have a lot more extra layers, kind of keeping you separated from the cold air around you. So right here, we've kind of got a kit within a kit. So if, like I said, if I'm gonna go gather water, we're doing some foraging, I've got some tech clips built onto my EDC survival kit. I can clip this to my hip, my belt, and I'm good to go. So this is the EDC organizer from Maxpedition. You guys have seen a ton of these all over YouTube. But right inside here, I've got a full comprehensive little micro kit to give me a lot of extra tools if I find myself out in the elements for longer than 72 hours. When this thing is all set up, I usually keep the water filter right in here. So I've got a silky saw right here. So if I gotta build a stronger shelter around my Zelter Shelter, or I wanna use this Zelter Shelter to just build a better kit like we did on my 12-day budget survival challenge, we've got that good to go. We've got some emergency illumination, a yo-yo fishing reel, military speed hook, from Go Prepared Survival. We've got 2 of these with a fishing line, dehydrated baits. So we have the ability to work on procurement of food. So we have my slingshot. This is the Fowler's Make Your Mischief slingshot that he designed. We have about 30 rounds of ammunition built inside. For cold inclement weather, I've got my sole emergency blanket with the heat sheet built inside because I want a little bit stronger than normal Mylar. We have a whole bunch of cool little survival tubes from Wazoo Survival Gear. We have snare wire, fishing kits, we've got some flat folded Gorilla Tape, we have a wire saw if my silky saw fails, or maybe I have a person with me like my wife or my kids. Make sure we all have multiple tools so we can divide and conquer different types of survival tasks. We have extra cordage built inside, but the main cordage will be my mini tactical rope dispenser. This holds 125 feet of utility cord that has 100-pound tensile strength. Very, very, very awesome with a built-in blade inside, so having extra little knives and sharp objects are really, really handy in a survival situation. We've got some really thick aluminum foil, but to keep all of my tools sharpened, I also have a nice little pin knife sharpener built inside. Last but not least, we want to touch on my first aid kit. I wanted to break this down to the absolute smallest bare bones things that I think that I would need for ouchie boo-boos, ticks, but also a little bit more serious situations just in case. So inside here for ouchie boo-boos, we actually have the potty packs, the same guys who make the shit kit and the field toiletry kits. These are the first aid kits. They've got hand sanitizer, antiseptic wipes, triple antibiotic, gauze pads, bandages, and pain relievers. We got some OTC meds in there. But then we have the tick kit. I live in South Texas. Ticks are a thing and they suck. I'm sure if you live in the Midwest too, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Making sure that you can take care of that is a big deal. Riding on to the slightly more serious issues we could run into, I obviously put in a Israeli bandage. Well, this is kind of a mimic. This is an emergency gauze bandage that I can wrap around myself, stop any major bleeding, have a chance to do that. But if I'm having issues stopping the bleeding, I also have a clotting sponge as well, so I can ride on top of it. It's not a full kit. It's not the best thing in the world, but for most situations that I would run to in the wild, I feel this is a pretty solid kit that'll get you and see you through in the very short term. Well, all in all, this about concludes my 30-second emergency shelter survival kit system. And I really want to know what you guys think down in the comment section of this particular kit. Does it include absolutely everything? No. Would you probably build this a little bit differently? Probably. One thing that if you guys want to see us actually take this out into the field at some point this winter, definitely make sure we get at least 3,000 likes on this episode, and that lets us know through you guys directly voting that these are the types of adventures and videos that you want to keep seeing. But that just about does it for now. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.